Hello, my friends. Katie Day with the Move Me to Texas team down here in Houston, Texas, with another episode of the Real Advice Podcast. Super excited for this week's guest. He is coming from, if you're watching this on video, you already know because it's a neon light in his background, but coming from Atlanta, Georgia, someone who I met now a few years ago on Clubhouse. We still haven't, I guess, met in person, but I've always been a fan of his real estate knowledge and just willingness to collaborate and share and network. So please join me in welcoming Matt LaMarsh from Atlanta. How's it going?
I'm doing really well. How are you?
I am doing well.
Good.
Just hanging out, man. Excited that you're here.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. I mean, as I was telling you before we started here, I got to go back and watch a couple episodes and listen to a couple before hopping on with you, and I really enjoy the content. It's always interesting to me to hear different people's perspective, and what you just said there is really important. I think collaboration right now over competition is I didn't realize how much other opportunity was in real estate when you just forget about the whole competition thing. So it's nice.
No, I hear you. And that'll definitely be something we dig into today. So for those that may not know you, Matt, tell me a little bit about yourself and kind of how you got to where you are today.
Sure. Yeah. So I almost got into real estate in like '06, '07. Thank God I didn't. My wife was actually a buyer's agent on a team here in Atlanta, and I approached her broker. I was kind of in between things and had an opportunity to go start something else and then get my license. And again, fortunately for me, it didn't work out to get my. He was like, "Don't do that. Don't do that right now. This is the worst possible time."
Yeah, no, not a great
Uh,
time.
so I listened. I was actually listening to other people's advice at that moment in my life, which was not the trend for the past, but took his advice and went and started the other thing. And fortunately, I did because it was a great business. Ran its course for about 3 years, but the market shifted pretty quickly. It was an eBay business where I took stuff from people, sold it for them, took a consignment fee, and then gave
Yeah.
them the remaining, fees, if you will, or collections.
Yeah.
And I did that in a brick and mortar location for a little while for a franchise here in the Atlanta area. And then that business basically dissolved. I had a chance to go to do it on my own, and there was nothing really proprietary about that business. So
Yeah.
went out and did it, and did it for about 3 years, 4 years on my own. And then the market shifted after the 2009-10 range, and made another shift and moved on. But thank goodness I didn't get into real estate because I learned so much in the next 10, 15 years that ultimately brought me to today here in 2022.
Well,
um,
so I'm curious on the
yeah.
eBay business.
hmm
What was the weirdest thing you ever sold for someone on eBay?
Honestly, Katie, there's so much. Like we would list anywhere from 100 items a day to 1,000 items a day, and of course, a lot of these, once you get into the higher, you're talking about collections, like a lot of the same similar type stuff,
Yeah.
but maybe a different collection or a different color or a different,
Yeah.
whatever. So they were very easy to. You could. I had this one girl that you just bang out listings, no problem. But we sold land, we sold cars, we sold motorcycles, we sold. I sold 150 collectible guitars. Um, I mean, literally, when I say I've probably sold it on eBay, I probably have sold it on like China, collectibles,
Yeah.
watches, the gamut. So it was
What was the
interesting though.
cheapest thing you ever sold on eBay?
So we did have a minimum of like $50. So like
Okay.
it had to be completed listings, $50 or more. So if you
Yeah.
follow Gary Vee and the whole like garage sale flip life thing, there is a point at which financially it just doesn't make sense. Your time is
Yeah.
worth more than selling something for $5. But, even in all of our research and data points that we had, there was stuff that just didn't sell very well. And there was actually the salt and pepper shaker that we did some research on, and there were multiples over 100, which salt and pepper collectors out there are like, they're weird people. Like it's just, let's just say what it
Well,
is.
we don't want to, offend anyone here on the podcast. I don't know
Well,
how many real
let me
estate agents are also salt and pepper collectors,
true,
but
true.
Matt, let's tread lightly here, man.
Let's rephrase. There are some weird collections within the salt and pepper collection world. Let's say that. So, but there was this really strange thing. This pair of salt and pepper shakers that again multiples over 100 consistently, and we listed ours, took great pictures, put a great listing together, put it up, and I think we got like $5. And I was like, this person's going to be furious with us. But one of the little asterisks on our contract was like, look, we don't guarantee outcomes or results, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But needless to say, it was just like that. Like, if we compare this to like real estate today, right? So right now with markets moving like every 4 or 5 days, basically, like
Yeah.
a new listing comes on in a neighborhood, sells at 450. A week later, something comes on and sells at 475, and then 500. And so that's kind of like eBay. I mean, you could sell
Yeah.
something one week that was worth five, you'd get $5 for it, and then other days you'd get $100 for it. So timing is everything on eBay and in real estate.
Hey, what I really appreciate about the little tangent that we just went on, more so me asking more questions, but that you could bring it back to real estate. So that's
100%.
always the look of a good realtor.
100%.
He's able to bring it back into real estate and segue it back into what we actually came here to talk about. So on
Absolutely.
that note, how did you get into real estate? You didn't get in back in 06, 07, time frame, 2022. I know you've been selling real estate for a little while now. So when did you get
Yeah.
in? How'd you get back into it?
Yeah, so when me and my wife got married in '07, she had purchased a property, we got married, and then we moved in together, and that was when she was a buyer's agent. She sold that entire new development. It was about 125 homes. And so when I was looking at getting into it, I was like, well, what are we doing with real estate? Like, is it just where we're going to live, or what does this look like long term over the course of, say, our lifetime? And her broker was super savvy and understood buying, holding, investing, like all flipping, all of it. And so, fortunately, I was in proximity to him and his wife, who had about 25 rentals at the time when we got married, and that was 15 years ago. So, I learned a lot from them about the entire strategy that you could buy a property 20 years from now. Our kids are 7 and 10, but we're halfway through their life cycle of before we bought anything. We were like, this could finance kids' college. And
Yeah.
$300,000 18 years from now, it could be worth a lot more to fully fund college and board and room, tuition, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So we kind of started thinking in that mindset back when we first got married with our first property. And then about 11 years ago, we made a move to Sandy Springs here, a little bit different area in the Atlanta area, but we kept that property as our first rental. So actually, I became an investor before I even got my license. But I always had an interest in it. I tell my kids kind of jokingly, but not really, that when we were kids, what we did for fun with my mom was go drive around and look at open houses. Like,
Yeah.
it's sad but true. But anyway, so I got my license in January of 2019. Officially joined a brokerage and everything. I had another business, a lawn care and landscaping business, at that time for about 4 years. Sold it in March of 2019. So there was about a quarter there, about 90 days that I just was kind of trying to ride two horses, and it just was not
Yeah.
working out at all. So sold the lawn care and landscaping business, went full time into real estate, closed my first transaction that same March. It was a great March, and then got off to the races. So here in 2022, it's now been 3.5 years, I guess, almost 4 years. Made a switch from brokerages a little over a year ago for a lot of different reasons, marketing and just the training and technology that they had in place. But for me, it was what was lacking in my business before, and also I think drawing that back to my clients, especially, I felt like I was kind of leaving something on the table, and I don't mean money. I felt like opportunity, really.
Yeah.
And so a year and a half ago, I made a switch, and I think my clients now see a totally different level of service, but also they're getting something that they just didn't even knew existed before,
Yeah.
which is great. So yeah, 3.5 years now, and it's been. I feel like my wife every 2 or 3 years would be like, "So when are you interviewing right now? Like, are you about to change jobs again?" And I was like, "I mean, the boss is an idiot, and it's time." So no, but I kind of found my thing here, and I
Wait, when
really
you were
enjoy it.
doing landscaping, weren't you the boss?
I was, yeah.
Okay.
Prior to lawn care and landscaping, I'm high D on the disc profile. If you know
Yeah.
anything about those people, they think they know everything, and 99% of us do. And
Yeah.
we know
I'm in the 99.
a much better way of doing everything. So, but no, I kind of got to a point in my last official quote unquote day job where my commissions were being cut in half, and it was a good portion of my income that was commission. So it was like, I don't like the idea of someone else determining my financial future
Yeah.
year over year. So we need to permanently change. And so when I started the lawn care and landscaping business, I drew a line in the sand. I was like, as soon as we step over this line, no more bosses.
Yeah.
So you got to work like, work like it all depends on you. And it's been great so far. So,
Yeah. No, that's awesome. So if you could do things over again, as far as real estate goes, and go back, 3 years, what would you do differently?
hmm. I don't know that there's a whole lot I would change, honestly. I think for me, the biggest thing that I really hammered on for the first 6 months, even when I had the lawn care and landscaping business, was just working constantly. Even when I started my lawn care and landscaping business, there was 6 months that I worked it part time while I was still, fully employed. So there's always been this overlap, just kind of, you know, prove it, type thing. And
Yeah.
so for me, the first 6 months in this business was working my other business while trying to get the boat as close to the dock to make the leap. And then as soon as I felt like I was ready and we were financially prepared and everything else to make that jump. But that first 6 months, and I told my wife, I was like, give me 6 months, like just give me
Yeah.
6 months to prove it, to actually make some money, and then to get this machine turning. And so, yeah, after about 6 months, we did every open house I could possibly work, 2 or 3 a day in some cases on Saturday and Sunday. I was calling my sphere and texting and emailing and Facebook messaging and Instagram. I mean, any and every way I could
Yeah.
get a hold of people in my network, I was trying to reach out and let them know I had made a change. And even to this day, I still see people at the supermarkets are just like, how's the lawn care and landscaping business? I'm like, non-existent.
I'm sure it's doing well, but I have nothing to do with it now.
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
do you think you would have gone in full time sooner?
Mm, that's a great question. I don't know. I think everything happens for a reason, and I tried to plan as much as I could, and of course what I could control.
Yeah.
Yet at the same time, that 90 days, I was really held back.
Yeah.
So even though
No,
I was
it's
working
tough,
open
right?
houses, it's super tough. And when your time is already split, not just from a time sake, but also money. Like money's generated over here, and the
Yeah.
moment you stop, it stops. And so I think there was a little bit of fear there, but there was also probably a little bit of like grit that kind of came into it. That was like,
Yeah.
we got to make both of these things work. And so time was just everything. And especially with 2 young kids at the time, it was like, I want to be a father as well in all of this. And so
Yeah.
trying to figure out the balance was tough. But no, I don't regret it. I mean, I think way too many people go the other way. I think they jump ship too early and they'll go and get their real estate license and then have no plan. And then they
Yeah.
go 90 days with no plan
Yeah.
or longer some cases. And then it goes nowhere. So I'm good with my decisions.
Well, and so, I guess with that being said, if you had to give advice to a brand new agent, right?
Mhm.
Like it sounds like you hit the ground running with open houses, getting in contact with your sphere in any way that you could, whether that's DM or phone call or in person or texting or
Mhm.
emailing or whatever, right? Like you were letting people know what you were doing and, all that. What advice would you give to a brand new agent? Just got licensed, and they have 90 days worth of money, right?
Yeah.
What advice would you give to them to be successful?
Try everything and then measure all of it. Because to me, you got to try and figure out what's going to fail for you, but you also got to figure out what's going to work. And for me, open houses were great to
Yeah.
get experience, to hear from people that are buying and selling and act super active. Like if you're looking for right now business, you go to open houses, period, end of story. I don't care what any other coach says. Right now business, like I look at, someone that one of our mutual friends, Andy C, that talks about,
Yeah.
if you're looking for right now business, open houses is the best way to find it. Those buyers are in that house for a very specific reason.
Yeah. No, and Andy C, I mean, how many millions of dollars in not even people hear his GCI and they're like, "Oh, that seems nice for like how much their sales are." We're like, "No, no, that's how much money they're making." He's making
Correct.
like what a good real estate sales, year would look like for the average agent, that's like, "Oh, no, that's his GCI, like blank million
Seriously.
dollars."
Yeah.
But I mean, he personally still does open houses, and that's where it's
Hmm.
like, he truly practices what he preaches. We need to get him and Eureka on the podcast, but
100%.
um, you know, scatterbrained over here. But no, I mean,
I'll help you make that happen. I'll
but
remind you.
but really though, I mean, I just made a note, Andy. Um, I open houses. It's something that we talk a lot about with the team of like, the conversations you have with leads and with potential clients is going to be different, whether they're top of funnel, middle of funnel, or bottom of funnel. And like for
Hmm.
most people, their home search starts 12 to 18 months before they ever buy a house, right? So like if you're hard selling someone that's 18 months out, it's going to hit a lot differently than if someone's at an open house and you're going over the home buying process with them. So I
100%.
totally agree on the open houses. I wish I would have done more when I first started. I did a lot of them, but I did them all over. Houston's a
Mm.
lot like Atlanta, and you can drive an hour and still be in it, still be in Houston,
Exactly.
as you can still be in
Exactly.
Atlanta. So I was driving all over the place to do open houses. I would have, been a little bit more intentional with them, but
Hmm.
it is what it is.
Well, that's funny too, because the first 6 months that I was just pounding, I mean, again, at least one or two every single weekend, but more often than not, two or three per day per weekend. 5 of those months, they weren't my open houses. They weren't my listings. I was working them for
Yeah.
someone else, right? And there's two things that I took away from that. Number one was you get active people. But then to my sphere and my Instagram
Yep.
following and my
Yep.
Facebook, they saw that I was out working. Like they saw that things were actually happening. So it's kind of a double-edged sword in the best way possible. You get right now people, and I converted like my first deal was from an open house. Um, and then month 5 hit, and I actually got to hold one of my own open houses,
Isn't that
which
nice?
everything that I learned in the prior 5 months popped in May for me, and I was like, I'm gonna crush this. Like we did Facebook ads. I had like I think it was 150 people through my first open house, which is like obscene. And this was
Yeah.
pre
All this.
pandemic and yeah,
Yeah.
all of this. So this was 2019. In May, I got my first listing, and I mean, we crushed that thing. We sold
Yeah.
it off, not off market, but we sold it before the open house actually. But yeah, all that stuff that you were learning. I mean, social proof is really important, and especially when you're new, to show that you're out actively working. People are like, okay, as opposed to sitting at home like cruising the MLS,
Yeah.
and you get to hear real life input. Like you get to talk with real people that are actually transacting right now. So
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah, no, the power of open houses is very significant.
Hmm.
I am a fan. So you talked about it briefly when we first started, but tell me a little bit more about kind of like your collaboration with agents. I know you do like live streams with agents from across the country. I don't know if you still do it, but like you were doing like an Atlanta networking group on Clubhouse for a while. I know you network in person, with people in
Yeah.
Atlanta. How has that helped you and like not only the meetings, but also the mindset in your career?
Great question. So yeah, I think to me, where I get really deep into networking is understanding that there's two versions of it. There's the in person, there's the belly to belly, right? And then there's the virtual social media. You mentioned Clubhouse, like Zoom. All this type stuff. I think has really extrapolated really big potential over the last 2 years for everyone. Like we've all been looking for new ways to network. I think, and not that social media is a new idea by any stretch, but I think for a lot of people, and myself included, so guilty raising their hand here, that for me, I didn't realize what great opportunity there could be between referral partners. And so, yeah, we do a weekly room on Clubhouse for the Atlanta real estate market. Originally we thought, me and the other Matt here in Atlanta thought that this would be a great way for us to get clients, like, new people coming onto
Yeah.
Clubhouse, and it didn't go anywhere. In fact,
Yeah.
we just attracted a lot of other real estate agents, which was amazing. But I don't think you can see it back there. But I got an award for that last year, and bringing attention to the Atlanta real estate market, and our local association here awarded me the ambassador award. It was the first year they created this award for me, basically because of the stuff we did on Clubhouse, the stuff
Yeah.
we did on YouTube and Instagram, and not just putting the association on a pedestal, but also the amazing connections that you can make. Because again, at the very beginning, you mentioned collaboration over competition, and to me, that I really didn't understand that for the first 2 years. I thought we're all competing. Like I'm
Yeah.
competing against you, even though you're in Texas, because I'm competing for attention. But here in Atlanta, I've made some amazing connections, and now we get to talk every single week about what's happening, like what's moving, what's not moving, how many offers are you getting, all
Yeah.
this collaborative space that we get to share. So that's been really, really good. The second thing I'm really proud of is that every week I've been interviewing agents from all around the country as a result of Clubhouse. I looked at all these awesome connections, and I'm like, I need to build something for my clients. Like
Yeah.
everyone's moving across interstate lines now all the time. I'm going to build my own referral network from people that I've spent literally now hundreds of hours with on Clubhouse, getting to know them, getting to like them and trust them, even as my as an agent myself. So we post that to LinkedIn, YouTube, and then my Facebook page. So every week a new episode drops on that. And literally now you've got one point of contact for every state. By the end of this year, we'll have that completely built out. And then, of course, just honestly commenting and going into people's feeds and building those relationships, agent relationships, but also now YouTube. We use a lot of YouTube content to create relationships with buyers and sellers. I'm licensed in Georgia as well as South Carolina, and I have a team in South Carolina that specifically Hilton Head. It's like a little 12 by 5 island that we have a whole team there of like 20 agents that are absolutely amazing. They're number 3 on the island right now, and they're quickly just hockey stick growth. And it's why I chose to go with them, because they're amazing at what they do, and they really understand the value of these relationships. So yeah, we're doing all of it, I feel like. But then on the in person, I have my own networking group. I'm part of the Chamber of Commerce. I'm actually part of 2 chambers now. I feel like once a week, if not twice a week, I'm at a networking event, belly to belly, with coffee and contacts, or networking at noon, or something where I'm constantly just getting in touch with people. And people, I want to make this abundantly clear. People think that real estate agents are just going there for leads. I'm not. I'm only going to make more connections
Yeah.
because my clients need them. Like, my
Yeah.
clients need a business broker. My clients will need a new accountant next year. They need someone to do their taxes. And honestly, super selfishly for me, if that one business card I get, I can take back to my network, I can highlight them. People get actual value from that. So
Yeah, for sure.
again, super selfishly, I'm not like looking for I mean, great if it happens, someone wants to buy, sell, or invest. But honestly, for me, it's a lot more, a lot more selfish for me and my clients, because then I get to serve them at a higher level. So
Yeah. I mean,
super
and
passionate about it.
I think that's one of those things too with networking. Like if you go into it trying to help other people, you're going to get it back, tenfold, right? But
100%.
like, going into it looking for business for yourself just comes off so slimy, right? And that's what like I feel like a lot of people do in regards to networking. And it's like if I can go into a room and figure out how I can connect people and help people, I know it's
Mm-hmm.
going to come back to me.
Yep.
It may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, but I know that it will. So,
100%.
I wish everyone had that same idea and thought when it comes to networking.
One day, there's always hope.
Um, no, that's really cool. Congratulations on the South Carolina license. I know that was a somewhat recent addition to your real estate, tool belt, I
Yeah.
guess, if you
Yeah,
will.
for sure. We love it down there. We've been vacationing there for as long as I've been alive.
Okay, and
You
that's
know,
how I figured how
yeah,
it came
yeah.
about because people don't just go, I'm gonna go get another license today.
I just really love paperwork. No, yeah, we want to retire there eventually. Obviously, our kids are still young, so we got some time. But I thought it was really important not just to plant some roots there for us, but my in-laws spent a ton of time there. My grandparents used to live there. We love the island.
Yeah,
We love the island, and we love spending time there. So we are trying to get there more often and more frequently. But I also wanted to have, something else going on
yeah.
from a business aspect. And there's no other place I honestly would have done that. And that's probably it. Like, I won't go anywhere else. I don't believe so, at least. We'll
Well,
see.
and now all your vacations can be write-offs because it's a business trip.
It doesn't hurt. It doesn't
He's
hurt.
like, oh yeah, I've got a client meeting all summer. Sorry guys. Um, all right. So you mentioned your like live streams and social media stuff and like where you're putting it out. And it seems to be everywhere, right? You said LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Clubhouse, all the places. If you could only
Mhm.
have one social media and like online digital media platform, because like I don't really consider YouTube to be social media, but
Yeah,
if you could only
yeah.
have one digital media platform and that was it, what would it
Man,
be?
that is so tough. Because as much as I love Clubhouse and social audio in general, I still think Instagram. Because with Instagram, you do pictures, you could do videos, you can do like one-on-one DM voice. Like, you can still hear my voice there, and I can still hear the tonality and the timbre of people's voices, I think. So yeah, I think Instagram. I love Instagram. It's, to me, to watch the evolution of it from like just being able to post pictures to what it is today. Like, me
Yeah.
and my wife were relaxing yesterday after Easter at Six Flags, and we were just scrolling through reels, and it's funny how, well, like, we're very different people, but we have the same core, you know, philosophy, if you will, about life. But
Yeah.
how two totally different people, like, within 3 seconds, she's like, "Why are we still watching this?" And I'm like, because there could be something funny coming. Like, you just never
Yeah.
know. That's what
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
about, marketing and social in general. But yeah, I think Instagram. I think
Mhm.
Instagram is the greatest, at the moment at least, the greatest equalizer. Even though TikTok's a real close second. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not connected to a lot of my friends and like a lot of like agents and stuff there yet. I find that a lot more organically. I feel like.
That's what I was gonna say. I feel like TikTok, even if you're not connected, just by you being connected in other places, they come up on your For You page. It's kind of
Right.
creepy how good the algorithm is on TikTok.
It is. It
Now that
really
we've
is.
talked, we're gonna see each other on each other's pages.
100%.
We're like
I
never
can't
seen
wait.
each other's videos before, but you know.
It's so
Um,
true.
no, you made a comment earlier. Actually, I think before we even started recording. So if I say earlier, people are like, he never said that. But we were talking earlier before we hit record about how sometimes there's a lot of noise on social media.
Mhm.
And like I'm feeling that recently on like Instagram and TikTok of just like lots of videos and lots of content. And I feel like everyone is trying to get in on, short form video and just, video in general, stuff like that. What do you feel like you're doing to kind of like break through that noise or like differentiate yourself or like or do you even feel like you see that out there? Like I don't know, I feel like when I'm scrolling through a lot of like Instagram or TikTok, I'm like, that's I just saw this same video from Joe that Mark did too, like what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely like this template maybe that's out there, right? And especially if all you do is consume the same type of so you and I are in real estate, it only makes sense that we're going to be fed. I mean, even earlier, I was having a consult with a buyer for Hilton Head, and we were talking about investment property and everything else. And so, of course, my For You page, my Instagram feed, my Facebook feed, even my YouTube feed are constantly then bombarded with VRBO, Airbnb, like, and I get
Yeah.
how the algorithms work, but I think if you kind of find what you're looking for as well, and I love social for the aspect that I get to be funny, I get to be a dad, I get to be a husband, I get to be a friend. Like, you get to see all facets of Matt, right? Not just the real estate stuff. So while I can talk about that stuff and while I'm really knowledgeable about helping my clients and so on and so forth, that's not what people are there for. They're there for who are you on the weekends? Unless you're in real estate and then you're the same person. But you know what I mean? Like, what are you passionate about?
Weekend.
So,
What's a
like,
weekend?
Saturday and Sunday, I think they come between the Monday and the Friday thing, or after the Monday and Friday thing. But they want to know who you are. They want to know what you're passionate about. And so for me, I get to show off that other stuff. And I think like the biggest compliment anyone can pay me is like, Matt, you're really funny. And I'm like, well, how did you get to that conclusion? As a result of one of your TikTok. Okay, well then that to me is funny. Like, I think that's a good thing for me to know, right? Like that client feedback, that customer feedback, that consumer feedback, we're all, super desiring to hear. That's what I love. And so for me, it's like, okay, when I go back and look at my insights, like on Instagram, I see the top 3 reels are the ones that probably made you laugh or probably made you smile or made you send it to someone even that you thought it was a funny outlook or a funny, outtake or blooper or whatever
Yeah.
it wasn't the norm. And so that's, I think, what most people find interesting or entertaining. And then there's like 3 or 4 other layers beyond that, below that, that maybe kind of hit that same mark just in a different way. So maybe I bring a different light to a subject, or maybe I add something in real estate, but we, kind of dip something that's funny or entertaining or again, just a different perspective. And honestly, that's why everyone says on social media, just be you and like bring your own
Yeah.
content and context to it because you see it differently. Like that's to me, that's the greatest. I know it's super redundant, but it's the greatest advice anyone can get for social media.
Yeah. No, I would agree completely. If you weren't in real estate, what do you think you'd be doing?
Mm. I used to always say race car driver because I just thought that would be like amazing.
Well, and isn't
But
that kind of like your,
100%,
you
100%,
know, you got the
yes,
car?
100%. But after spending time in the car on the track, I know that I'm just not built for it. Like those guys are real athletes, and especially the endurance guys that drive for like hours and hours on end. I have a sister-in-law that works for a NASCAR team, and they've got like 4 or 5 cars. Nah, I would absolutely give me like a weekend, and I'd be great. Like I
Yeah.
would be satisfied. But honestly, I mean, I like helping people. I really do genuinely like helping people, like more than probably people know. And not just in real estate, just in life in general. That like I think I can see things that people can't even see in themselves sometimes. And I try to bring that out because I don't think enough people are doing that. I think we're all bringing people down in general. I think
Yeah.
we need to be lifting more people up, but probably like a counselor maybe or a coach or I don't know, something like that would be I think really really fulfilling and gratifying.
I like it. I like it a lot. All right, Matt, I'm gonna hit you with one more question. It's a tough
Deal.
one. You might already know this if you said you'd listen to some other podcasts. I don't know if you made it all the way through,
Yeah.
but if it were your last meal on earth, what would you be eating?
God, so I'm such a red meat fan and after watching all your Instagram stories, I'm like I'd probably just eat whatever Katie's eating.
You're funny.
No, but honestly, I mean, I love a good like bone and ribeye, and I don't know, like there was, I think it was on our honeymoon in St. Lucia. We had our last meal there was like the most epic sunset over the Grand Tetons, the two like major mountains that come right
Okay.
out of the
Yeah.
ocean and the sunset was just like so beautiful and the meal was delicious, so yeah, I'm going back there, no doubt, no doubt
Okay.
about
I
it.
like it. And like an epic trip too,
Yeah, of
So
course, of course.
obviously you can get a steak almost anywhere, but that's like a super epic steak.
100%.
Not to rub in like the steak thing or whatever, but this weekend, and I didn't post it on Instagram, but we got some like A5 Wagyu
Ugh,
and it was and then we the so of course like when you ask a server, we were like, hey, do you think that if we got another steak, like so like, okay, we'll definitely do the Wagyu, but like if we get another steak, would it be ruined by the
mm,
Wagyu? Because like this is just gonna be so amazing and
of
buttery that like
course.
if we get a regular ribeye, it's gonna be trash. He's like, actually no, because like the one's like gonna be super buttery and this would still be fatty, but this, that, and the other. So instead of doing like surf and turf, we did turf and turf. And we did the Wagyu with the bone in ribeye. It was such a good meal, like steak
Was
with the
it?
side of steak. Uh
So which one
so
did you do first?
so they came out both at the same time.
But which one
Um
did you taste first?
oh, the Wagyu, obviously.
Okay.
You gotta go higher quality first, in my
See,
opinion.
I think I go the other way. Like let's start out, and if this is good, this is only going to be that much better.
I didn't want to taint my taste buds with trash steak before I ate the good steak, you
Was
know?
it trash though,
No, I
or
mean, it
was it
was
pretty decent?
both were amazing, obviously, but I was a little concerned that we would have the one and then just be like, oh man,
I get
I now can no longer eat steak that's not like $1 million an ounce. So luckily
it. I get
I can still
it.
eat, my Walmart steak. So, um, okay. If people don't already follow you online, what's the best place for them to connect with you?
Yeah, pretty much at Matt LaMarsh, just like it sounds, everywhere: Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. Yeah, I appreciate you so much, though. Thanks so much for doing this.
All right. Pick your platform. Find Matt LaMarsh on all of the platforms. And if you ever need anything in Atlanta, Georgia, he's your guy.
I appreciate you. Thanks so much. Have a great week.
You too.